Hello again. I'm Sue Ann Lewis, and this is part 4 of mindfulness parenting communication. So in this part, we're going to talk about learning and practicing effective communication skills, just simple communication techniques, and I'll just go over a few of them. More of them are practiced and listed in my book, Do You Know How to Talk with Your Young Child? But these would get you started and help you be thinking about exactly what am I doing and how can I make that even better when I talk with my child. So anyway, this truly is the basis of the art of communication and relationship building for a long-term basis. So thank you. So we talk and we hear speech, but do we hear and process what someone intended to say? Not always. Not always. Were we clear about what we intended to say? How many times have we not heard what someone else was telling us? Or how many times have you heard the phrase, well, I didn't think that's what you meant? Guilty. We communicate all the time, not only with words, but with voice tone, gesture, facial expressions, eye contact, posture, and even our internal intentions can be visible or felt by the people around us, and particularly children. Researchers have said that young children understand many words before they can even say them or tell us what they mean. And researchers also tell us that 90% of communication is nonverbal. So children are picking up a lot of information that perhaps we're not intending to give them, but nevertheless, it's available to them. So we want to be as clear as we can when we communicate with them so that they learn how to communicate effectively and they hear from us or learn from us what it is that we intend for them to learn from us. Okay? So when we work with a child and talk with them, even if they're not very verbal or sophisticated at the time as a very young child, as we're talking with them, we're helping them learn words. We're helping them learn how to converse by giving them eye contact and the use of our posture and our expression of thoughts. But that helps build their confidence, their ability to use words and phrases and gestures. And I think some of you would smile and think about gestures that you recall your young child doing that looked very much like you or your spouse or a grandparent, what have you. So they do learn those things, but we want them to learn them in a positive way and an effective way. So, and as they learn confidence in themselves and expression, it also builds confidence in you as their parent figure, as their attentive person who is witnessing their life. Very important. So let me just go over very, very briefly, but just mentioning some things to just trigger some thoughts for you in your communication of just highlights of things that you might consider. And if you're interested in looking at some more of that in my book, Do You Know How to Talk with a Young Child? Please, I would love it if you would. But this might give you some things to think about. When we are talking with a person, and in this instance, our young child, if we avoid yes and no answers, inner questions. We avoid that one-word answer. We express a desire to converse and to talk. If we want to establish communication with our child, best to avoid yes and no questions and ask open-ended things, make comments. What do you think about that? How did that strike you? How did you feel when that happened? What were you thinking about? Those are ways to establish an open line of communication. It's hard to do this, but if you can avoid asking why questions all the time, when a person is in a subordinate role, like a child with a parent, a why question can build a sense of defensiveness or a sense that this person is being critical of me. I have to defend why I said something or did something. So asking why questions, or not avoiding asking why questions, gives the opportunity to have a more open, relaxed conversation in general. I like to say, listen with your whole body. And by that I mean that you are using your posture to communicate interest. You're leaning forward a little bit. You're giving eye contact. Your eye contact is soft. It's not glaring. You're breathing and you're relaxed. We covered that last time, so that you're able to just really absorb what's being said and what's not being said sometimes. So we use a friendly, warm voice tone to entice the person to talk and to let them know that we're the good person. We want to know what they have to say and what they think. Listen with your heart. And by that I mean your intention is to understand that precious little one who's with you. And let your voice reflect that you're listening by clarifying, by doing that receptive type of listening where you would say, now, it sounds to me like what you meant was, or I heard you say, was that what you were intending? That way of clarifying, did I really understand you correctly? Because what that does is it makes sure that you did understand, but it also helps your little one learn to be clear about what they're trying to communicate. And then that invites them also to try to be clear about what they heard you say, okay? So that you have that reciprocal understanding, the face-to-face, back and forth kind of understanding. Very important, because a lot of times we misunderstand something, we act upon it, and it was faulty understanding because we weren't listening so carefully. Not just parents, I mean, I think in general people do that. But that's important. And then I think we want to watch for nonverbals from our child. Is there something troubling them? Is there something about their posture or their facial expression that indicates that we might need to ask some other questions or spend some more time here? Or to really embrace the joy that they're having from a success during the day that is very exciting to them. So those are just some general things that I think are important and might help you have a more effective conversation with your child. And there's more in the book if you'd like to look at that. And remember that we have one more video left, so I invite you to come listen to that. Take good care. Thank you for listening.